Hello, my name is Chi Dates with the Dates Group. As promised, I'm here to do a kind of a digging deeper, drill down from some points that I've brought up on Instagram and Facebook. 8 weeks of planning. Basically, what we want to cover today is that hopefully no one is waiting for January to start planning for next year. You ideally want to plan at least November and December. Earlier is even better. But to help, the Dates Group has created a guide for you that includes things that you can do each week, starting this week from now until that last week in December. So that's 8 total weeks that can help you be prepared to have greater success in 2022. You do not have to do these in order, but I do think that we have them in a pretty logical order. So if you can, that's great. If it works out better for you to do some other kind of order, as long as you are able to actually accomplish everything on the list, that's a great start. So let's get right to it. Week one is to review what worked. Week two is to revise what didn't work. Week three, review 2021 expenses. Week four, create your budget and a forecast. Week five, examine personnel needs. Week six, establish goals. Week seven, create or revise your standard operating procedures. And week eight, update your business plan. So, week one, and I did also put this on Instagram too, I believe, Instagram or Facebook or both. But week one is the week that you want to review what's worked. What have you found, whether it's pricing or services or processes? What have you found has been just on point, just perfect? Put that over in the what works side. If it needs adjusting, put down how it needs to adjust based on what you've assessed from this year's successes. So you want to find out what made it work so well. What was the measurement that you used to determine that it was a success or a successful process? List the outcomes so that you can plainly see them. And also list, as I stated, can it be improved upon still? And if so, how? So basically, week one is for taking note of the things that have gotten you this far. Okay? So, week two, revise what didn't work. Kind of logical. If some things worked, some things may not have worked, or maybe they worked, but not as well, as they could have. So, you basically want to assess what stood against your success. For example, and with new business owners, there are plenty of things that are obstacles for new business owners because you're really in a very strong pattern of learning, which is okay. It's actually a great place to be. Now, I'll give a few examples. For example, as a new business owner, we tend to undersell ourselves. I'm sure you know what I mean. A lot of you lowball, you charge less with the idea that you'll be able to obtain more customers, more new customers, or retain the ones that you have. But you should never, in the first place, sell according to price. You should instead sell according to value. So if that is something that you've noticed in your first year, that maybe your pricing is incorrect. First of all, if you do the comparables with the other businesses, that's part of a business plan. You should know a little bit about the pricing from there, and also the Dates Group does help you with understanding pricing for industries, even down to your county where you live. It doesn't matter. In the whole United States, we're able to let you know what your industry is trending at in pricing. So, if you're not able to get those numbers for yourself, we certainly do provide that in the business plans. So you want to make sure that you're not underselling yourself. It's a typical mistake of a new business owner. Another typical mistake of a new business owner is having products that you may have, or products or services that you thought would be big sellers that actually have no real market demand. So just the lesson there is, just don't keep forcing the issue. Don't try to ignore it. Just adjust. It's okay. One of my favorite things about being a new business and having mistakes happen, it sounds kind of funny, but actually, if you're in the right frame of mind, every mistake launches you to a better process. So it's almost like the faster you make them, the faster you're already into that good process that you learned from that mistake. So another error, and this is a huge one. This is like the all time worst one, is new business owners and sometimes old business owners do not value their time. I want to tell you that time is a currency. Time is as much a currency as money, because first of all, your time is going to either make you money or lose money if it's mismanaged. So your time's a currency. That means it's very important. Value your time. If you have clients that want to befriend you while during the time that you're working on projects with them, and that's fine. I mean, I think most of my clients are my friends at this point, but at the same token, the business at hand is the business at hand, and friendship has its place. But when you're working for them, if you're spending your working time, your operating hours, with 5 more extra hours per client, out of friendship instead of out of doing the job, you are missing out on other clients. So you have to be able to make sure that you establish boundaries and value your time so that you can be the best and the most productive for all of your clients, not just a couple favorites. So make sure that just like you want to be paid properly, that you value your time properly. Another common mistake that a lot of people learn in their first year of business is that in all things, get it in writing, get it dated, get it signed. And I'm not saying that you can't trust, but you can't trust. So make sure that you get it dated, you get it signed, you get it in writing, and it's okay. It's better to be safe than sorry. There doesn't have to be any opportunity for us to have a misunderstanding if it's in writing. So get it in writing. Don't feel bad. And just, make sure that you don't have to learn that lesson the hard way. So take a little time, look at what did not work, look at processes that you may need to change. This is a good opportunity. November, December, we're wrapping it all up, getting ready for that 2022 big year. So, week 3, review your 2021 spending or expenses. Look at your spending from 2021, your operating expenses, marketing, software, accounting, personnel, salaries, cost of goods, purchase of assets. Look at all of that. Look at everything that you spend, write it, make sure that you have financial statements, hopefully, that reflects it. If you have to write it down because you never did before, whatever the case is, this is the time. Review all of your expenses so that you can assess what were appropriate expenses, what you could have done differently. A lot of times we just love to buy all the software and applications. That's me. Every time someone tells me, "Hey, you can do this and that if you have this application," I'm on it. So what you want to do is be, of course, smarter, and not, just grabbing everything. You want to have the ones that provide the most value. They might cost more, but you might be able to eliminate some. I'll never forget. I ended up. I'll give my own quick testimony. I ended up getting Salesforce and Ring Central, which most people were saying, "Oh, those are expensive. Ring Central's expensive." It is. Salesforce is expensive. It kind of is, pretty much. But I was able to eliminate, because of those two, like 6 other applications that when I added those up cost more than those two together. So I'm down to those two. I have more, but I'm down to those two for covering what was covered by six. So look at the integration, look at the value, look at all of the tools that you can use with different software. Just as an example, there's ways to cut expenses. So look at things that you didn't need. I remember I also had a Ring Central phone lines, and I had Verizon phone lines. For what? I had like 6 lines on Ring Central, so I was able to cut out Verizon. So you just have to regroup. And now is the good time to do that. Week 4, complete your budget and forecast. This is very important. So once you've examined all of your spending, now you want to, and also you've decided how you want to adjust that and any new needs that you have. Now you want to create your budget, which will be what you need to cover those expenses for 2022, and your forecast, which is what you'll bring in your revenue. And it may need to be adjusted because you want to make sure how much do you want, how much do you need to cover your expenses, including salaries, and then how much, is your profit if you're a for-profit organization. What are you looking for? And then what do you need to get there? How many of whatevers do you need to sell? How many of your services do you need to provide in order to cover that plus whatever percentage of profit that you need? It has to be spelled out. It needs to be completely ready in November and December. Number 5, and this is a big one, examine personnel. Examine your personnel needs. Although you're a small business owner, you still need to review annually, and even more often than that, but for sure annually, your employees or contractors or anybody who represents your name and your business. It is your position to do that, and you need to do that. So at this time, you want to look at what is the value this person brings to my business. Does this person have integrity? Are they able to represent me in a way that will not embarrass me or my company? You want to make sure that they are competent. As we all know, a lot of people can talk a really good game, but once you're in there and you're, called to do the job, maybe you've seen something different. If you have had a situation where you are uncertain about an employee, you want to start looking at them with this philosophy. At least this is my suggestion. You want to look and see if the issue, if there is one, is a will issue or a skill issue. Is it will or skill, so that you know how to address it? If it's a skill issue, you want to make sure that you check to see, are they actually able to handle this task if I take the time to really spend with them and teach them and work with them. You have to make that determination. If it's a will issue, you have to make the determination, do I have it in me, and do I think they have it in them for me to teach them how to be as motivated about this as I am? So you would know the answers to that, but you first have to determine which side of the fence is the problem. So figure that out. Understand if you have it, if you're, if you have the capacity to address those with them, or if you need to just replace them with someone who is already a better fit. Think about your time management, think about your valuable currency, your time, and think about the continuity of your business. You don't want to just churn and burn people either, and you don't want your clients to always say, whatever happened to Susie, last week you had Susie, week before you had, Bobby, whatever. So you want to make sure that you're able to present a business that has, some continuity, some consistency, but also excellence and integrity. So there's a balance. This is the time. Review your employees and then communicate with them. Make sure that you communicate with them where you see adjustments needed, what you're requiring from them, and make sure that you and they understand what it's going to take for them to continue with you in 2022. Okay, week 6, establish goals. This is extremely important. And I can't tell you how many times, from being from banker to even financial rep, before then and now, that I have come across big dreamers. And there's nothing wrong with having big dreams and big aspirations, but you do have to have a balance. And sometimes it's tough for us as business consultants or business bankers or anyone in the industry to um, really get real with you as a client in the middle of your big dream, because nobody wants to squash and step on someone's dreams, but you do have to be realistic. There's a lot that goes into choosing your goals. You need to be able to look at what your competition is doing. What is the industry standards and trend going on now in your local area, or in your field? What's your budget going to allow? For example, if your budget is $15,000 for the year 2022, why are we looking at getting, $500,000 fleet of cars? So we have to look at what's realistic with your budget. We have to look at, for example, market demand. What if your goal, and this is all my examples are usually goofy, this is a little goofy, but what if your goal were, my goal is to sell 1,000 purple cars in 2022, but you've not looked historically to see that that's not a thing, or maybe you did and thought it's not a thing, but I can do it. However, since there's no market demand for it, you've bought these 1,000 purple cars and you have no market for it. There's no market for it. So they're not selling. In fact, you probably had a problem even buying them because suppliers would know from looking at the trend and looking at the market, that they're not going to waste their money and time producing it for you. So all around, it would be, quite unsuccessful because it's not reasonable. It's not based on market demand. It's not based on history, trends, standards, any of that. So you have to take all of that in consideration when examining your goals. You should make sure that the people around you, whether it's advisors, a board of directors, business consultants, bankers, are able to answer those types of situations with truth and courage to help you through that without squashing your dreams, but definitely giving you some parameters on the possibilities. So how you align your goals should be you should be aligning your goals with your vision, your value statements, your values, your mission statement, your budget, and market demands at a very minimum. There are other things to consider, but at a very minimum. So, and to be fair, you may have the same goals next year as you do this year, but I would suggest that you shouldn't, because whatever you learned this year, whatever adjustments that you had to make this year, your goals should adjust as well, as and also your route to reaching them. So that is week 6. Establish goals, very important. Week 7 is to create your standard operating procedures, or SOPs, or as the military calls it, continuity binders. Whatever you call it, it's basically a step-by-step guide, or more than a guide. It's a step-by-step procedures for certain processes or services that you have. So if you haven't done this before, there's no need to fear. It's never too late to do it, but it's very important because it will keep a certain level of continuity. It will decrease miscommunications with you and your team, and also your company and the clients. It'll also decrease variation, where from one team member to another. If I have 3 or 4 grant writers and I have no standard operating procedure in place, then if this one is asking my approval before they submit, and this one is submitting or having the client submit and then telling me about it. That's a big issue. It doesn't look well. So it also affects your customer service and how they view you. But it also causes confusion within your company, and mishaps and money and time, all of the currencies that you want to have in place. So you definitely want any major operating process that you have or any service that you have, you should have a standard operating procedures. Mine have flow charts because I don't want to hear, that you read it wrong, because I'm going to make it visual. So you're going to be able to read it and you're going to see it. So it's going to be clear, because if there's no clarity with it, you might as well not have it. Make sure that your standard operating procedures are clear as can be. Week 8, and one of my favorites, because basically week 8 ties up 1 through 7. Week 8 is updating your business plan. Now, your business plan should, at a very minimum, be updated every year. It has to be. It really actually has to be, particularly if you're looking for any financing or funding, because the financial statements and your goals and your personnel and everything else has to be up to date when you pass them your business plan. You cannot pass them 2021 in business plan in 2022, saying, we're looking for new money, but here's our old plan. They want to see what is going on right now. If you had personnel changes, it might affect your potential for investors, because maybe before, not only was that person not good for you, but they knew it as well, so they didn't want to invest in you because you didn't have the right people in place. Now you have people with better experience, that are just weighed differently in this grand scheme of what you're doing with your business, and your investors feel better about it. So if an investor feels good about something, there's a higher chance that they'll actually take you on. So all of those changes need to be addressed in the business plan. Now, the Dates Group recommends that you actually update your business plan every 6 months, so semi-annually, but at the very minimum annually, and that time is now November, December. You really want to come out the gate in January 2022 ready to go. And I do want to add, for the nonprofits, that November and December are also the best 2 months for you to pursue donations. So on all sides of it, for profit and nonprofit, you're basically, this is the time that we are shooting up the layup for January. So January is our big boom. 2022 is what we're all aiming to succeed in. And taking these steps, weeks 1 through 8, take 8 weeks. Like I said, you can mix and match the order. It is in a very logical order currently, but whatever way that you obtain these steps that we've presented today, you can contact the Dates Group. We're at www.thedatesgroup.com. You can schedule a free consultation if you need assistance. We're always there to help. Whatever it takes. I want to make sure that you are not waiting. Come out the gate in January. Make 2022 the solution to 2021. So whatever you did in 2021, the answer, make that answer now in 2022 by planning for it, learning from your mistakes, learning from, maybe not mistakes, but just learning from some of the things that you didn't know. Take your business up in 2022. We are there if you need any assistance at all, and any type of capacity building. If you are a nonprofit, any type of strategic plans or business plans to get you there, we will help guide you. Follow the steps. Succeed in 2022. Let's all level up. Let's keep going and go higher. Thank you.